Ballerina only made $25 million on its opening weekend in America, and that's unbelievable to me. This is a action movie, and it is filled with good action. Therefore, it is a good action movie. Eve is not a girl boss, I promise you. This movie is just pure action, and it should be enjoyed as such. You have people who say they like the movie, but they spend a lot of time critiquing and overanalyzing the character Eve. Does she shoot the weapons as good as Keanu Reeves? Does she do the fight scenes as good as Keanu Reeves? That's overanalyzing. To me, that's ridiculous. Judge this movie. Is it filled with good action? Yes. It's an action movie. Therefore, it is a good action movie. I don't know why in today's world we overanalyze, dissect everything in a movie. If it's a comedy movie and you laugh the whole movie, that's called a good comedy. There's no sense in overanalyzing, dissecting every little thing in the movie. If you have an action movie filled with good action, that's a good action movie. You watched a mystery movie and you were captivated, intrigued, that's a good mystery movie. You don't have to overanalyze and critique each character and how they moved and how they talked and so on and so on. It's not that serious. This is a simple action movie. So, Eve, she's a little kid. She's with her dad. Her dad was part of Roma Ruska. Somehow, some way, he met a girl who was part of the cult. And the chancellor, he's the leader of the cult. And they got together, had two daughters. For whatever reason, the dad took Eve, but he left Lena. Lena is Eve's sister. They don't know about this until later on, but so the dad takes Eve, he leaves Lena. Eventually, the chancellor, he wants Eve to come back to them because they're a cult. If any woman has a kid and she's a cult member, that kid belongs to the cult. No questions asked. So they end up finding him and they end up killing him, but he does make sure Eve gets away before he dies. Then Winston comes from the Roma Ruska and says, hey, we knew your dad. If you want to join us, you can. So she does. Then the director, she ends up taking her in, making her part of it. And she starts off like all the girls doing ballerina stuff. That's how it starts. And then she grows up and she trains. And during the training, you'll love this. So Nogi, she's one of the people that help Eve train her up. And when she's training, she gets beat up by guys all the time. Guys are stronger and they just take advantage and they just beat her up all the time. You see this. So eventually, Nogi tells Eve, you're never going to be as strong as a man. You're never going to be able to defeat a man on his terms. You got to be dirty. You got to do whatever it takes. If it takes poking them in the eyes, kicking them in the nuts, whatever it takes, you've got to do it. So she starts to do that a little bit, right? And then she's able to beat a few of the guys because she'll just do something dirty and take them down. Now, she's trained up, and then they put her on assignments. And when she goes on her assignments, she gets beat up. It's tough. It's a battle. She's not a girl boss. She's not a master. So you'll appreciate that. But she ends up getting the job done. And even when she's at the height of her abilities, she still is not a girl boss. she still can get punched, kicked, knocked down, beat on. You have to love that. You have to appreciate that. And so she tells the director, I want to get the chancellor. I want to kill the cult leader. He killed my dad. And the director says, no, we got a peace treaty. You can't do that. Don't do that. She does it anyway. And then she finds out that Pine is an ex-cult member. He has a daughter. He's hiding in a hotel, the Continental in Prague. So he finds that out. And then she ends up going there to talk to him. But the cult is there also, and they want to kill him and take the daughter. So this is just a coincidence, of course. So Eve goes into his hotel from the outside window. She goes in, and then she talks to Pine. And then Pine's like, would you please help me get out? And then she's like, get my daughter out. And Eve, reluctantly at first, she agrees. So they're fighting the cult as they go down and try to get out of the hotel. So Pine gets shot, and then Eve, she gets knocked out by Lena, and they take the girl. So Eve wakes up, and then she she goes to this one guy who sells weapons, and then she's talking to him, trying to find out, where is this cult, where are they located. He doesn't want to tell her, but then the cult, they come to his gun shop and try to kill them both. So he ends up telling her. So she goes there, and then the whole town, surprise, they're all cult members, and they instantly try to kill her. I mean, women, men, old people, young people, everybody in that town's a cult member, and they got guns. So it's pretty cool. They're trying to kill her. And so she's trying to kill the chancellor. Everybody's trying to kill her. She's trying to make her way to him. So then the chancellor calls the director and says, hey, you got one of your members here, and just because of that, we're going to kill her, and we're going to go after you guys and kill you guys too. The director says, no, don't do that. I didn't send her, and we could do something, and I'll send John Wick to kill her. So the chancellor's like, oh, you'll send John Wick? Okay, well, I'll change my mind if you get that done. You got till midnight to do it. So John Wick comes, and he finds Eve, and then Eve starts shooting at him, and then they fight. And let me tell you something. John Wick easily handles Eve. No contest. She's not a girl boss. John Wick easily handles Eve. No contest. You have to respect that. And then John Wick, he lets her go about her mission. He's like, hey, you got till midnight to get it done. And so she goes off. And during all this, there are action scenes where she's fighting using grenades that she finds. So people are getting grenaded and blown up. And then with this Dex guy, who's the first in command under the Chancellor, him and Eve have a flamethrower fight. You've never seen a flamethrower fight before. So that's really cool. And so it's filled with some good action. And then eventually, Lena finds out that Eve is her sister, and she wants to talk to her. And so naturally, when they're finally united and they're about to talk after trying to kill each other, the Chancellor ends up saying, hey, kill Lena and Eve. His answer to everything is kill him. That's his answer to every problem, is just kill him. So Lena and Eve, they get a rocket launcher shot at them or something. Building blows up, kind of, and Lena ends up getting really hurt, and she ends up dying in Eve's arms. And her last words are, I really missed you. And so Eve, she just gets up and continues her pathway to the Chancellor. And so they try to move the Chancellor, but she ends up finding him. And then she ends up going ahead and killing him. at the end. And then John Wick, he helps her by watching over her and shooting. And so, he's helpful in that way. And then John Wick calls up the director. He tells her it's finished. The job's done. And then he tells her, yeah, the chancellor's dead. So it's kind of surprising to her. So John Wick walks off. Eve walks off separately. And then, of course, Eve had a friend when she was training as a ballerina under the director. I think her name was Tatiana, and she ends up becoming a real ballerina for them. And so Eve goes to one of her shows and watches her, and then of course everyone gets a text. The order's out. There's a hit on Eve, just like with John Wick. And then of course Pine, he ends up being alive in the hospital, and he ends up being reunited with his daughter. So the Chancellor's dead. The majority of the cult members living in that village, they're dead. John Wick is alive. Eve has a hit on her. Pine's alive. Dex is dead. Winston's alive. The director's alive. Nogi's alive. So overall, it's a good action movie. And that's what it is, an action movie. And I'll say it one more time. Just congratulations to the director, to the producers, not making the mistake of making Eve greater than John Wick, for not making her a girl boss who just easily can defeat men. This movie was pretty well made in that way. Don't overanalyze it. Don't overthink it. Don't compare the way she shoots her weapons to John Wick. Don't compare her fighting to John Wick, because at the end of the day, that's Eve, a female, and Keanu Reeves is a man, and he's John Wick. So let's not go there with that. Let's just enjoy this as a action movie, because that's what it is. All right, Ballerina. If you have nothing going on, you like action movies, go check it out. You will like it. If you have seen a movie, in the comments, let me know what you think. And if you haven't seen it, when you do go see it, let me know what you think.